My name is Donald DeRosier. I am the host of 111 Podcast, where we sit down with entrepreneurs and hear their new beginning stories. We are starting a new series, and I'm looking for 11, that's right, 11 different unconventional entrepreneurs that are doing things in a very different way. And I want to really strip down and embrace that authenticity that is in you. If you are doing entrepreneurship in an unconventional way, I want to hear from you, and I'm only looking for 11 of you. So, want to start this brand new series looking for 11 different unconventional entrepreneurs, founders that are doing amazing work. Hit me up in the DMs if that's you, and I would absolutely love to get you on the pod. Awesome. And happy Wednesday, Prisca. Thank you so much for joining me. 111 Pod. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. I just had a little bit of a headache for the past few days, but I think it's just from overworking, maybe the heat a little bit. So yeah, I think I'm doing good.
Good.
I'm feeling
Good.
a lot better. Gotten a lot
Feeling
of rest.
a lot better. Awesome. I'm glad, and I'm absolutely thrilled that you're here today. Would you mind just sharing a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how you help people?
Sure. So my name is Prisca, and I am the founder of the Digital Fashion Institute. And what we do is really just help people learn how to do digital fashion design a little bit more efficiently. Just because I think the education system hasn't really locked in on how important it is to learn these digital tools for the future. And I wanted to make sure that students understood that this is where things were ultimately heading for the fashion industry. So yeah, that's why I do it.
Awesome. So fashion design. Take me back, Prisca, to how you first got started in fashion design. What drew you? What attracted you to this occupation? I'd love to learn a little more about your interest.
Okay, it's a bit of a story, but that's what we're here to do, right?
That's right. Got to get to know you.
So how it started really was just from being a little kid that was obsessed with fashion. My family moved to Boston when I was about 5 years old. And we didn't have a lot going on in terms of like activities to do. So I used to wake up really early in the morning to watch two things. One was, I'm always spacing on his name, but the guy with the painting, with the hair, with the afro. Do you remember
Bob
him?
Ross. Bob Ross?
Yes. So I used to watch Bob Ross.
I love him. Did you ever see the documentary on Netflix, by the way?
I have not seen it yet.
Oh my God, so revealing.
But I know the story. That's how obsessed I was with him.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know why I forgot the name, but yes, Bob Ross was an obsession of mine when I was really little. And then the other thing was Fashion File, which was a show that was about just fashion designers in Europe. And I used to just watch that for hours before anybody woke up in my house. So I just became obsessed with fashion and what it could do and the stories you could tell. But I grew up with really two different, I guess you can say, talents. One was the fashion, like I was just always drawing and sketching and just trying to get better. But my other natural talent was really writing. Like it just came naturally to me. Like I just write stories when I was bored. So by the time I was heading to college, I didn't know which one to choose from. So I tried to kind of do both. But ultimately, the college that I ended up going to didn't have any kind of an art program, definitely didn't have a fashion design program. So I ended up doing journalism. And I thought I was going to do that for the rest of my life. But yeah, as soon as I got out of college, I was like, this is not it. You know, like I just didn't want to work in a newsroom. I tried to write for my college newspaper, but it was 2004. But that was a really tough year for the journalism industry in general. And I was just kind of like, I don't know if this is what I want to do. So I started trying to write a novel, and about 3 months in, I was like, I got nothing. Cause I was what, 22, and I just I had no life experience. I didn't understand people well enough for me to go on and write a novel, And I also didn't have the focus, if I'm completely honest. So yeah, a friend of mine came to town, a friend that I had met in college. She came to town, and she asked me let me just preface this by saying she came to town with Ringling Brothers Circus. She was a teacher for the circus. And I was just like, that's interesting. And she invited me, over to hang out with her and her circus friends after the show. And I started talking to the costume designer, and I was telling her about my interest in design, and I was thinking of going to design school. And she was like, well, we need somebody, to fill a position. Would I like to join? And at the time I was like, well, I was working at a library. I was like, I can either keep working at this library job, which was fun, but I was like, I don't know if that's going anywhere. Or I can travel with the circus. So,
Right. Sounds way more fun.
Yeah. So
library circus. Come on.
Right. It wasn't a
no-brainer. No brainer there. I love
so
that.
I just went off, and I spent a year traveling with them while I applied to design school. So that was like my first kind of job doing design kind of full time. I wasn't really designing anything. I was more or less just repairing costumes and stuff like that. Sure. And helping on the sewing end. I'd been sewing for most of my life. My mother was a seamstress. My aunts were seamstresses. So cool. I knew how to sew, sort of. But I knew how to sew well enough to do that job.
To get, to be there, to be useful, essentially. Right?
Yeah, exactly. But I hadn't gone to design school yet, so I didn't really know what the whole thing was about. And after about a year of traveling, I got off the train in Philadelphia, and I had gotten into Drexel University at that point. And I spent 3 years just plowing through that design program. And it was hard. But that's really where I learned what the industry was about and really started understanding what fashion really was. Because that, I think I had the same kind of dreamy idea of haute couture in Paris, that whole Emily in Paris fantasy was what I thought the industry was. And it's not that at all, But yeah, it's when I got into it at school, that's when I started understanding what was going on. So that's the journey for the most part.
And how was the design school? Talk to me about fashion design when you're at university.
Design school was competitive. I had a lot of really great people in my class. They filtered a lot of people out very, very quickly. So I think I started, it was a grad program. So I started with maybe 20 people, and I think only about half of us graduated from the program, to give you an idea of how rigorous it was. But here's the thing. The school that I went to was very focused on technical. So a lot of sewing, a lot of, that sort of thing, pattern making. That was their thing. That was their, what they were known for. And that's why I went there. But I wasn't very good at it. So, yeah. So when you ask, how was design school? It was rough because I'm not a crafts person. Gotcha. But then here's the thing. Design school is where I discovered technology as part of fashion. And I started using, Photoshop, Illustrator. And then I found 3D. And they only kind of touched on it because at the time it wasn't really a thing yet. This was back in 2010. So people didn't really know what to do with 3D quite yet. And then finally, it was like laser cutting and being able to use a lot of cool machines and 3D printing and all that stuff. Once I discovered how they were being used in the fashion industry, I was like, ooh, that's what I want to do, you know? So that was kind of the lane and the territory I found myself wanting to go into at that point. But when I graduated, I realized, oh, wait, nobody wants this yet. You know, like people were still leaning on the sort of traditional knowledge and the basics and things like that. And I was just kind of like, oh, that's so boring for me. It's not really what I'm into. But in order for me to get a job, that's the kind of stuff I had to lean into more. So
got you. And when did you graduate?
I graduated from Drexel in 2011. So
okay, got you. So technology hadn't quite caught up. We were starting, but it wasn't quite there, especially in the fashion industry. So what did you end up doing? Like, what was your first job then right out of grad school?
I had a couple of internships, but my first internship was with Tracy Reese. And she was just like the small designer in the garment district. And I interned for her for, I want to say about 6 months. And that was rough, you know, because I was living at home and I internships in New York and fashion at that time didn't pay. So
I was gonna ask. I was like, is this a paid position? Like,
no.
Okay.
And you're expected to intern for like 2 or 3 years, you know, before you can actually,
Oh my gosh. That's tough. That's tough. So you have to have like a part-time job and the internship and, you know,
at least
survive.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to live at home. Like it's out of the question.
You have
unless you have somebody paying your rent, you know. But that was a standard back then for the fashion industry. And you just kind of have to figure it out. So I was working in retail on the weekends, and you know, doing that whole thing. But about 6 months in, I was just kind of like, you know, let me give Paris a try, you know, because that was the fantasy. So I flipped the coin and then I bought a ticket and I went to Paris for 3 months because I was just kind of like, let me see what I can do there, you know, let me see if I can get an internship there because that's where I want to be. Those are the designers I want to work for.
Was this the first time you went out of the country?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. How was that experience? Tell me a little bit about being outside the US and Paris. This sounds really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. And, you know, when I landed there, I had no idea what I was going to do, really. I had one contact that somebody I had reached out to on LinkedIn had given me. Cool. And they had given me an interview. I had my portfolio. Which I had spent an entire summer working on, you know, so I was like, as long as I have that, like, at least I'll have some confidence going in.
Yeah.
So, you know, I get there, I'm super excited, and I go to, I don't even think Airbnb was around back then.
I don't think so.
So
I think it's maybe just starting. I'm not sure if it was in Paris yet.
Yeah, exactly. So I had to find a place to stay. Oh, actually, no, it was. I think I had just found out about it. Because I say it was because that's what ended up saving the day. I had booked a hostel in the meantime, you know, like I was like, I don't know where I'm going to stay, but I need somewhere to sleep. So I booked a hostel. And I get there and it was just the dankest, grossest place I've ever been in my entire life. No. It had like this little mattress in the corner, like some real Oliver Twist type stuff, you know, like I was like, I don't know, I don't think I can stay here. So, but the funny thing is the picture that I saw on the web was like this beautiful lobby. And I was like, oh, okay. You know, I didn't account for the fact that the price was like super low. It was like $20 a night, but I thought it was going to be like really nice. And it wasn't. So
oh man, that sucks.
Yeah, I know. So I get there and I call my sister and I was like, I don't want to stay here.
Yeah.
So she's the one that sent me Airbnb. Like she knew about Airbnb at that point, and she sent that to me, and then I was able to find somebody on there for a little bit more, but
a lot
I
nicer.
had some money. Yeah, I mean, I had a roommate. It was still a little bit, to be completely honest, a little bit sketch.
Sure.
But, you know, she had just gotten a divorce, so she needed some money. So she kind of rented out like a piece of her apartment out in the suburbs. So that was how I ended up finding a place to stay.
Gotcha.
It was, what ended up working out was that she was an architect. So she was off-site a lot. So she wasn't home that much. So that allowed me to basically have the place more or less to myself, and it worked out pretty well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, so in terms of professionally though, things didn't go very well or as expected. We went to the interview that I had booked, and I don't want to say they took one look at me, but she was just kind of like, I mean, you know how it is with the French. She was just kind of like,
I've only seen in movies and shows, but I've never physically been to Paris or France. I have a lot of friends that have gone and they've told me their experiences. So, but from your experience, doesn't sound like it was very positive.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful. I'll tell you that. You know, Paris is beautiful. The food is great. The people are cool, but a little bit too cool, I guess, is the only thing that I could say. I mean, I
got you.
They're nice. It's just that I think my vibe just didn't meet their vibe, and I was just kind of like, and I was pretty young, so I didn't know how to approach it as well as I could, you know.
I can see that. Okay.
Yeah. So I was just kind of like, okay, I don't think this is gonna work out. But I just stayed anyway, because, you know, my ticket was for 3 months. I had already paid for the apartment. And I was just kind of like, let me see what happens, you know? And I spent 3 months there. I ended up using some of the time to volunteer at, you know, different organizations and stuff like that, just to kind of meet people and see, you know, what can be done. I just tried to network as much as I could while I was there. But the crazy thing is that the person I really wanted to work for was this designer called Azadine Alai. And I went to his studio. I dropped off some of my work. And they didn't call me until the day that I was scheduled to leave. The day before I was scheduled to leave. And at that point, yeah, I know. At that point, I was just kind of like, I can't overstay my visa, and I also don't have any more money to pay for another month of rent.
Sure.
So what they wanted to interview me for again was an internship, and I was just kind of like, I can't work for no pay in Paris, you know? Like, maybe if I had you know, somewhere to stay and all that stuff figured out, maybe, but, you know, I just can't do that. So I had to turn it down. It was heartbreaking. It was probably one of the hardest decisions I've ever made.
Yeah.
But I came back to the US and I went back to retail for a little while until I could find something a little bit more permanent in New York.
Got you.
So yeah, that was my adventure in Paris. 3 months of trying to figure it out.
So would you call your Paris trip outside the US like a success, like a failure? Like, how do you view it looking back now?
Looking back, I mean, it was an experience, you know. I'm realizing one thing about myself, especially recently, is that I'm not the kind of person that can leave a stone unturned. Like, I have to find every single angle before I call something quits, like before I give up on a dream, before I give up on something, I need to make sure I did everything I could in order to make it happen. And if it fails, it fails, at least I know I didn't just walk away without really giving it a try. So I think to me, the regret I have with Paris is possibly that I should have been a little bit more insistent, and maybe I should have sent work to different studios and not just put all my eggs in a basket.
Sure.
So that was really it. Everything else, I was just kind of like, well, I did it, spent some money, but I paid it back. I spent 2 years working in retail, paying all that debt back because, like, honestly, I went on my credit card.
Oh,
the trip was
I
like
see.
on my credit card. That's why I was like, I don't have any more money to do this.
I feel you there. Yeah.
So,
but it was an experience, and I feel like just taking that risk and doing it for the sake of doing it, because now you have a story that you just shared with me. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And it was a learning experience, and you didn't take it as a failure or success, but you just took it as what it was. You've always wanted to do this thing. You got to, I'm sure you got to see some sites as a, someone who loves to travel, and you've always wanted to go there. And then also you just wanted to see how a possible career could have taken you if you were to do it. And you tried, which is the biggest part. And I know a lot of people, they don't try. And you did that trying. So I think that's a huge win for you, because now you know, and you wouldn't have known otherwise, right? If you didn't take that chance or that risk. And I believe every attempt, or let's say if it looks like a failure, it's not a failure, it's a learning experience. Because, now if you were to go back, you'd probably do things a lot differently, right?
Exactly. And that's the lesson. It's understanding that, A, you tried, and B, if you were to do it over again, you'd know how,
Yes.
And I think that applies to business, that applies to relationships, that applies to life. It's just, you have to understand what the lesson is in order for you to be able to move forward. But I don't know. I don't count experiences as successes and failures. I feel like everything can be a success depending on what kind of lens you put it through, and anything can be a failure depending on what kind of lens you put it through.
That's right. Is your cup half full or half empty?
Exactly.
Right? How you living your life?
Yeah, exactly. How you living your life? Yeah.
Yeah. So
that should be the title of the thing. How you living your life?
How you living your life? I love that. I love that. So you went back to New York. I just want to kind of catch up to like where you're at now, if you don't mind. Take us, from New York. Eventually, you made it down to Miami, right? So
I did.
Talk to me about, after your trip, like what transcended and transformed into your eventual of like where you're currently at. I guess we'll kind of run it through a little bit.
Sure. So I actually, when I came back, I went to Philly, and that's where I was working in retail. Because, I was at Drexel, so Philly was kind of natural. I had a lot of friends there still, so it was easy for me to get back into it and find work. And in the meantime, I was working on my first collection and trying to figure out if I could launch my own thing. At that time, I honestly didn't have the money, but I was just kind of like, oh, I think I skipped over something that's actually pretty meaneful.
I want to do that.
yeah. Between Paris and Philly, I came back to not the US, but I went to Haiti because my parents lived there. And I was also doing different fashion shows, like showing my graduate collection and stuff like that in a bunch of they have all these little fashion weeks in the Caribbean. So in the Dominican Republic, they have a fashion week, and Jamaica has a fashion week. All of those little islands have them. So I did 3 different fashion weeks while I was there. And on the third one, which was Haiti Fashion Week, I ended up getting robbed and they took my my passport and all that stuff, like all my documents. So I ended up getting stuck in Haiti for about 7 months. And while I was there, I didn't waste the time, let me tell you. My dad's friend had a factory, a garment factory. And things were actually, Haiti was doing pretty well. It was post-earthquake. There was a lot of investment going into Haiti. And I was like, maybe there's some opportunities for me here while I figure out this whole document situation for me to get back to the US. So, and you know, like bureaucracy moves really slow in a country like that. So it took a while. So I ended up manufacturing a line of dresses with that, my dad's friend. And that was sort of my first real like fashion business experience. Because I ended up selling all over the island to a bunch of different little stores. I was shipping it to a couple of stores in the Dominican Republic. So it was really nice to be able to have that as my first experience with a brand. And then when I finally got my documents, that's when I went to Philly and like got a job and started figuring things out in the industry there. But yeah, that was a really formative experience for me where I realized that like, because it was a really basic dress that I manufactured and they just sold like hotcakes, you know, like it wasn't anything. Yeah. Because like when you get out of fashion school, you're like, I need to do something extravagant. I need to have ball gowns. That stuff doesn't sell, you know, like all that editorial stuff. It might end up in Vogue, you know, like maybe. But then what do you sell? Like nobody's going to buy that from, you know, looking at it in Vogue. You know, even if you get it on Beyonce, like it doesn't mean that it's going to sell. Like Beyonce, sure. Now people know who your brand is. Now you can bring that to Macy's and say, Beyonce wore my dress. But if they can't sell it, they're not going to buy it from you, you know? So that's sort of the lesson I learned from doing that for 6 months. That's what I'm saying. Like there's a lesson in everything that happens. I got robbed, but I also launched my first fashion brand as a result of being there for such a long period of time. So, but after that, after I was in Philly for a few months, I was sending out applications, trying to get like real paid work. All I could find were internships and things like that. So I ended up doing something that is slightly questionable, but I'll tell you what it is right now. I ended up using a name that was not mine on my resume, and that actually ended up getting me a job in New York finally, because I spent 2 years trying to find work in New York. Couldn't find a thing. I sent the same resume with 2 different names to multiple employers and got 3 interviews that same week. And and then
just off your name?
I got 3 interviews I mean, it's the fashion industry, and New York is very biased, let's just say, in a lot of ways. And, you know, I didn't have like any like social media pages. I didn't have an Instagram at the time. I didn't have any of that stuff. So it's not because they were looking me up and seeing anything crazy. It was just they saw my name and maybe they couldn't pronounce it. And they were just like, and I mean, I used to actually see people doing that in the places that I worked. So I know that that's what they were doing. And that's when I was just kind of like, okay, let me just use a really basic name that sounds super generic. And let's see where that goes. So yeah, I got 3 interviews and then I got a job like that same month.
Just because of a name change. Can I ask the name?
It's a real person, but I'll tell you the first name is Sherry.
Sherry. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds so white. Okay.
It worked.
Wow.
Yeah. The first name was Sherry.
Okay.
And it was somebody, I'll tell you all, you know what? I might as well.
Sure.
It was my landlady.
Okay.
And I was sending out applications, and she was asking for her rent, and I was like texting and typing at the same time. And I was just kind of like, you know what? Let me use her name. And then that's when I put it at the top of my application, and it worked.
Sure.
So that was how I got my first job in fashion in New York. Because I was like, I have this really great portfolio that nobody ever sees, just because of the fact that, you know, my name is hard to pronounce. So I know it's two syllables, but I don't know. People struggle with it.
I didn't find it difficult to pronounce your name, Prisca. I don't think it was. That's how you say it, right?
Yeah.
I want to make sure that's how you pronounce it. Okay, so it just, maybe because it's so unusual too. I don't know many Priscas. I think you're literally the first person that's named that name, so maybe that's why. It's not common. It's very uncommon. So I can see that, but it's just so crazy how you had to change your name just to get an interview, just to land the job. And it just makes me wonder, you know, like with biases and stereotypes, you know, just like with people, it shouldn't really be based off that. It should be just based off your experience, right? Like your portfolio, essentially. It's like who's the best, who ranks the best based off their work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that
ridiculous.
The crazy thing is that it didn't just work once, it worked twice.
Multiple times, yeah.
Yeah. So like I did that job. It was for a job that manufactured clothing for Target. And, you know, I did that job for about a year. And then the second time that I did it was my next job, which was also swimwear, but for a higher end manufacturer.
Gotcha.
Or higher end designer. And that was kind of like my dream job, you know, like I loved that designer. I was like, this is where I want to be. But when I got there, it was again like a very difficult work situation for me, where I just didn't fit in. That's really the only thing that I could say. But yeah, it was like it worked there as well. And I was just kind of like, I guess that's how I get a job in the fashion industry, is by changing my name.
Yeah.
So, you know, word to the wise for a lot of young, you know, ethnic designers out there. Maybe it's your name, you know, change it and see what happens.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
It is.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. So continuing on. Yeah.
I worked in New York for about 3 years between those two jobs. And
and then Philly after that, right?
No, it's after that I moved to Miami. So I did Philly, New York, and then
Philly, back to New York, and then from New York to Miami. So why Miami? Did you have family, or?
I did have family. And the second place that I worked, that place ended up letting me go after about 1.5 years. And I didn't know exactly where to go, because I was like, I don't want to stay in New York. This isn't working out. I don't even like New York. And
I've heard stories too. You know, I've never been to New York. I've never been to New York, believe it or not. I should go sometime just to visit as a tourist, but I just heard it's not a great place to live. You know, it's like you want to visit, but don't ever live there. But yeah, I know a lot of people from New York that do not live there anymore. They like live in Florida, or they live in Colorado. You know, they live in various other states, and they just like, and it's interesting because I feel like they have a certain what's that energy about them.
It's hustle town. Like,
yes,
hustle.
You have to, or you don't survive. You know,
exactly.
And it's just, a lot of people like that, and a lot of people don't. But there's that energy alignment too. At the same time, you know, it's like you can only push people so hard. You know, and I feel like that's not what life's meant to live. At the same time, you know, life, you got to enjoy your life. can always be hustling. Sure, there's a time and place for that. But yeah, when I was in Miami, I just met so many people from New York.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
they go there. It's crazy. But anyway, so to Miami. So why Miami? You said family, but then I assume job opportunities, because the fashion over there is pretty cool from what I've seen.
It is. There is a really big fashion community. It was growing at that time, because I was looking at either Miami or California as options. Okay. And I also just wanted to start my own thing. And I was looking for opportunities to do that. And one of the things I realized in New York is when you work for another designer, you just don't have time to do your own thing. I was working like 12-hour days regularly, like 7 a.m. fittings. And then I'm there sometimes till 8 p.m., and then I have to take an hour-long train to New Jersey because who can afford to live in New York? So I was just like, okay. Once, that didn't work out, I was like, what's a job that will, pay me well, but also allow me to have some time off, and be able to have some balance in order for me to do my own thing. And I ended up finding a teaching job because they were just opening a bunch of different schools for fashion in Miami. And I had a master's degree. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm qualified. Let's see how it goes. Went to the interview and got offered the job the same day. And I was just kind of like, I guess I'm a teacher now. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So how did that go? How did that go teaching? Like, what did you?
I'd never put a lesson plan together. I had no idea. Honestly, my first day of class, I had no idea how to do it, what I was doing. Like, there was no observation, period for me to learn what I was doing. But eventually it started to gel, like they had professional development courses that I had to take at the college in order for me to get better at it. So I did those. And after the first year, I kind of got into a groove. And my groove was really to teach the digital classes, because a lot of the other professors were, like really focused on craft, sewing, pattern making, the traditional stuff.
Sure.
But the program wanted to be a little bit more progressive and really what the industry, not just in Miami, but everywhere, was demanding was that sort of technology training. Sure. So I just started to teach the basics for Photoshop and Illustrator, doing flat sketches, doing all that kind of stuff. And I did that for a good 3 years while I started working on my actual brand. So I relaunched that my second year as a professor. I just started working on, developing that. I started taking classes to understand business and marketing and sales a little bit better. And yeah, I was trying to make it happen. I did my own fashion show during Miami Fashion Week. It was a lot of fun. But, and then I also got my product manufactured in Mexico, actually. Which is my connection to it as well. Like I just started making it happen, and then came 2020.
Right. Yeah.
So by then, like I moved to Miami in 2016. I launched my brand 2017, 2018. And then I was slowly scaling it, like I'd got the manufacturing done. I started selling at, a couple of stores. And then when I went to go launch the second season, that was 2020, and everything just kind of died. And I tried to hang on, and I put more money into it, but after a certain amount of time, I was just kind of like, I don't think there's anywhere left to go. And I shut it down in 2021. And kind of fell into this really deep depression at that time. where I was just kind of like, I don't know where to go with my life from here, because like I'd had one dream and one thing that I was like, I need to do this in order to feel like, myself.
Right.
So yeah, after that, I started learning the digital fashion, which is really what brought me back a little bit. Because in 2021 is when the whole industry was taking off with digital fashion and everybody was talking about it. And my students wanted to learn it. So I had already been making plans before the pandemic to go up to New York. And that was what made me realize, okay, maybe there aren't a lot of places to learn this, because I was making plans in like 2019, 20 to go to New York for the summer of 2020 to take a course at FIT, because they were the only ones that had a program. And FIT is the Fashion Institute of Technology. So they had a program. And I was like, I think I want to try it. But when the pandemic hit, I had to cancel all of that, And so I just went online and started looking for courses and stuff like that. And I found a couple, started going through YouTube tutorials until I felt like I could teach it. And I just kind of started building it into my courses, the stuff that I was already teaching. And, shortly thereafter, when I realized how much my students wanted to learn it and how important it was becoming during the pandemic, I don't know how much you know, but like everything from in the fashion realm kind of moved towards that during the pandemic, because all the factories were closed and everything like that. So all the runway shows were in the metaverse, and there was this like critical shortage of 3D fashion designers. And so like, anybody that knew how to do it even a little bit was really like in demand. So I was like, this is what we need to be teaching. And I went to my department and I was just like, is there a possibility to create a path, like a curriculum around just digital, where they don't have to learn the traditional crafts and all the stuff that I honestly hated teaching. And I was just like, let me see if I can build that whole section out. And they were like, no, this isn't what our students are looking for. And I was like, well, I don't want to keep teaching things that I feel are irrelevant, And I was just so excited about the idea of having a school that focused really just on the digital. So I was just like, I'm going to start it myself. Because like I knew that people were looking for it. I had been looking for it. And the schools weren't really leaning into it the way that I wanted it to be, So that's why I started Digital Fashion Institute. About a year later, I left my position at the college, and I just I started doing it, and I started going to conferences, I started speaking, I started trying to figure out how I was going to go about it. And then I realized I was broke.
No, why does it always come back to money? It's like, there's got to be a way you can be sustainable, keep doing what you love, and just focus, right? Like, it sounds like you relaunched your business and in a way that you saw a need. And then from that need, you were like, let's do it. Let's go for it. So walk me through, like what you found that, with especially financial, because this is something a lot of soulpreneurs, right, are struggle with when they want to launch their dreams and passions and aspirations, right? So walk with me a little bit about how you were able to overcome that and kind of like where you're at now, or maybe you're still trying to overcome it. So I think this is a really important discussion that a lot of people don't really talk about when they're really struggling for their dreams. So share with me a little bit about this.
So that part of it was really kind of a remnant of having had that fashion business. It was just that I was in a lot of debt as a result of that business. And once I shut it down and then I walked away from my full-time job, it was just kind of like, okay, if I'm going to have a business, I need, you still need to, legalize it, get trademarks, get, whatever it is, all of that, those things, the accounting, like that's not free, you have to pay for the website, you have to pay for this, you have to pay for that, for the marketing, for ads. So yeah, I just realized that I just did not have the resources to build the business that I wanted to build at that particular time.
Gotcha.
Even though the demand was there, and I started off by working with one cohort of my previous students who were the ones that were kind of like, we need to learn this. And lo and behold, I'll tell you this, all of them got jobs shortly after they took that course.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah. That's why I was like, this is what we need to be teaching, because this is what the industry wants right now. They have enough people that know all the traditional stuff. The new people coming in need to know the digital. So that was kind of my proof of concept, is what it was working with them. And then, realizing that, students that had been looking for work for years finally got work just by learning these skills, So after that happened, I just started trying to find some funding in order for me to be able to put into it, because I was like, I can't do all of this myself. It's a lot of work,
Right. Yeah.
And there's so much that I don't know.
It could be overwhelming.
Yeah. And I mean, this is, before AI really took off, because I'll tell you right now, that's been a boon for me. It's been helping me quite a bit because I don't have 6 people working for me. And I think that's actually what I need. It's just like because I have to do the videos, I have to do the editing, I have to do the marketing, I have to do the sales, I have to do the strategizing. Yeah. It's so much.
It's a lot, Prisca. Yes.
So
yeah, and I was looking at your videos on Instagram. They're great. You have great lighting. You know what you're talking about, and I love a little B-roll of little AI videos you put insert into it. So it's good. It's good. Yeah. It's got to continue to be consistent, though. I was actually going to give you a few ideas to improve it marketing wise, but we can talk about that later. But yeah,
please, I would love, because I'm not a marketer, you know what I'm saying?
I know. Like, I can tell.
I'm not
no, you're good. You're good. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you that way, but I'm just saying it's like you can tell, if businesses know their marketing, or they hired an agency to, or if they're just doing it all on their own. It's very apparent, just based off how consistent they post, and just a few other things. True. But it's hard though. It's really hard to do all the things. So with AI, let's say, it has been helping you. Right. Yeah. So it's been alleviating, let's say, some of that stress as a solopreneur, as someone who's trying to, do their own thing. And so how has AI helped you in those ways?
Yeah, it's exactly what you're saying. It's just been a stress reliever for me, because, when you look at the list of all the things that you need to do as a solopreneur, from the marketing and working on the algorithm, like trying to figure out what's gonna break through. It's rough. Even like with the strategizing, like trying to figure out like how to sell a product like the one that I have.
Because you're essentially trying to sell a course, right? From my understanding, or some type of, they sign up, and then that's how you build your classroom. And because you're a teacher, that's where you're instructor, right? Because that's what I was looking for in fashion, but fashion tech educator, that's what you go by on LinkedIn. So
so I mean, I was trying to it's more of a curriculum You know, like I want to sell like the whole kind of like trajectory of learning how to use all of these different softwares instead of just one, because it's not even just the 3D that I think a lot of the schools miss. It's even the basic Adobe, Photoshop, and Illustrator. They're just not really doing the best. But my original intent was to create a platform that would actually help the teachers teach, you know, give them the videos. It would be like almost a textbook that allowed them to, even if they didn't know the subject that well, the students could all learn it to a certain degree just because of the coursework that's there for them to do, you know? So that was my original intention. But trying to get into the schools is a challenge that I didn't anticipate having, because I was like, well, I already teach. So maybe I could talk to, you know, some of the people I know and see if they're willing to change. But really what I'm realizing with education is that it's as slow as government, you know? It's like the DMV, you know, they're like, to me, an MS-DOS, like they're using like the oldest technology.
They haven't caught up.
And it takes them forever to turn that ship around. It's a big ship and they have to go through a lot of people.
A lot of regulation maybe too, and red tape, and it's not a it's a slow process essentially, right? So okay, I see. So that's been one of your struggles. So what's another struggle? Just tell me all your struggles.
All my struggles.
Let it out.
So most recently, like I've been pivoting like you wouldn't believe, trying to figure out where the need is, you know, because to me, selling something that people need isn't difficult. Trying to sell people something that they don't think they need is usually the challenge. And what I've found out from just reaching out to people on LinkedIn and having conversations and, you know, really understanding what it is that's going on in the fashion industry, it's that a lot of brands are kind of exporting that labor of knowing 3D to the factories, and the factories are all offshore. So a lot of the education for fashion technology is happening in India. It's happening in China. It's happening in Korea. It's not happening in New York. And the problem with that is that in order for that process to be effective, for that workflow to change, both sides need to learn it. You know, that's the discussion I've been having with a lot of 3D designers online, where they'll be working in the factory in India and they'll send it to, you know, the brand technical designer. And because the brand technical designer doesn't know how to use the software, it's like, what's the point? You know, like why, like they don't know how to fix the issue.
Why can't they refer you and then they take your class and then you educate them on how to learn the software? Could be that easy.
Yeah, I mean theoretically, but it's that question of learning. Like,
do people not want to learn these days? But you have to learn in order to actually get better and know in the knowing, right? Knowledge is power. And so if you don't know how to do something, like you have to take a class, you know. So I don't get this. I feel like there's a problem that could be solved really easily if they just went to you and then you filled in that gap, right?
That was the initial intention.
Okay.
But what I'm really finding is just that I think there's been sort of a frictionless kind of model when it comes to tech when it comes to anything related to knowledge. There's a lot of friction in learning digital. There's a lot of friction in learning 3D. It's hard, you know? Yeah. And I don't think people want to learn things that are hard for them.
No, really?
Yeah.
They want to outsource it to AI, right? Oh, AI is going to do it for me, right?
Or India.
Or India is going to do it. Well, because India likes to do hard things. I'm sure there's tons of people in India that don't want to do it either. So is that the ongoing conversation you have with people these days in the fashion industry? It's too hard. We're just going to outsource it.
Yeah. Wow. So like they can't, and also investing in the training of their people. That's the other thing, like at first I was trying to sell it business to the consumer, B2C. And then, like I started working with an agency that was like, kind of coaching me. And they were like, we think the strategy should be B2B, like sell it to the business and they bring you in for you to do workshops and training and stuff like that. So I made that shift.
Yeah. That sounds
hoping
good.
That it would work.
Okay.
I send emails to every brand in Miami saying, let me just come in for an hour. We'll do a lunch and learn so that you can figure out or learn what I do,
Sure.
So that you understand, this is like your company needs to invest in this. And got no response. Like I spent a lot of time trying to figure out. Yeah. And that's
nobody got back with you. Wow.
Yeah. That's when I learned that they were outsourcing it by that to their manufacturers. So they didn't need me to come in to train their staff.
Gotcha.
But here's the thing. They're still complaining that even though they're getting these 3D models and stuff like that, that things don't fit, that, they're not getting the final product that they wanted. They still have to do 10 samples. And that's really what this 3D thing was supposed to do. It was supposed to cut down. When you're developing a fashion line, you can do like anywhere between 5 to 10 samples of one garment.
Okay.
Now imagine a company that's like cranking out styles like Zara or whatever those companies are. They didn't want to have to pay for every single one of those samples until you get to the final product. So they were like, let's do 3D until the final one. And if the person that works for the brand doesn't know how to fix things and fit on a 3D model, there's no point. You're still going to have to go through all those processes. So there's something in the workflow that's broken and they don't realize that it's them. Like they need to have somebody on staff that knows the software in order for it to work.
So what I'm hearing is they're trying to outsource things to make it easier, but it's actually harder for them in the long run because it's making them have to do more work, and that doesn't make sense, right? Exactly. Make it make sense. So it's like there's an issue, and you see the issue clearly, and you communicate that issue to them, and then what's their response?
That they, and it's valid, that they don't get they're afraid that they won't get the ROI, like they've already invested in the software, and because they don't know how to use it, it kind of hasn't yielded good results. Right?
It doesn't make sense. It still doesn't make sense to me how they would spend so much money and it still doesn't even work when they could have just hired you to teach them how to actually use it properly to save them money. I don't know. I feel like it's an administrative problem or something at this point.
No, well, they're trying to use the same. They all think the one solution that they could do is hire somebody that knows how to do it into their company. But I'm like, if nobody's teaching anybody how to do it, the schools aren't teaching it, or very well. The schools aren't teaching it very well. they don't want to pay for me to give them the textbook. They don't want to pay for that resource. But then the companies, the brands, they want people who know how to do it, but they also don't want to pay to learn it. I'm like, so the problem is nobody wants to learn anything, but you want the final results. And what their determination was, okay, we don't have to learn it, but we'll make our manufacturers learn it and we'll get the results that way. Right. But the fact is that they're still not getting the results because
manufacturers are not learning it.
Yeah. No, the manufacturers learn it, but what's the point? Because you don't know it. Right. And you can't communicate with them about what they're doing.
Oh, I see. So they both have to learn it essentially.
Exactly. Gotcha. That's the only way it'll work. Right. Otherwise, you're doing the same thing that you were doing 10 years ago, you know?
Why don't you just learn it first so you don't need to outsource it? Just imagine how much money you'd save. Right? Doesn't that make sense? Doesn't that make sense?
Absolutely. I'm like, the amount of money that you are spending on samples is what you could have paid me to teach your team in order for them to know. But also the industry just works at a breakneck speed, you know, like they can't slow down.
Don't want to stop to learn it, because if you think about it, if they actually did it the way you wanted to do it or the way, you know, you thought was best, they would actually be saving money.
Yeah.
They'd probably save a lot more money having, but
and I mean, crazy. And this is why I'm telling you, like, so after to go back to the original
sure not sorry to get off track a little. I just found this problem really fascinating, so I just wanted to kind of problem solve the last 10 minutes, but I don't know, it's just interesting.
The solutions are clear, it's just people aren't really going after them. But no, after I left the school and I was working on developing this product, it took about a year for me to kind of get back on track because I ended up taking a job as a technical designer. I went in with the intention of training the team, you know, like, because I started it and it started to take off right away. And I ended up getting an in on a company that just moved to Miami and they were looking for somebody to train their team.
Nice.
And when I went to the interview, she offered me a job.
Awesome.
And I was just like, oh crap, I'm broke. So yeah. I mean, like, if you have the right number, I'm in. And she told me the right number.
Love it.
And I was just like, all right, I guess I'm working here now. But the intention was always for me to train their staff. Now, here's what happened. Once they had me, they tried not to train the staff, and I ended up doing more or less all of the work, you know?
Okay.
But I kind of tried to force the issue and set aside, like, I was like, you guys have to learn this because I can't keep working myself to death like this. And I tried to do, like, I set up a whole training system for them, you know, and just trying to get them all in a room on a Thursday afternoon was like herding cats.
Oh my God. Really?
Yeah, like getting the product development team to kind of just come together and sit down and learn like one day a week. I didn't have assignments or anything like that. I was just showing them the basic functions of the software.
Right.
And I was just kind of like, this person had to go this place, this person had to do this, and this person had this meeting they needed to be in. And I was just kind of like, this is the problem.
Yeah.
Like, you guys can't set aside this time every week for us to be able to do this. This is the problem. And I'm like, that's probably what it would be at just about any fashion company if I tried to do the same thing there. So yeah, it's crazy. It's tough. And I'm trying to figure it out, but I don't know what the key is yet.
So are you still working with that company or no?
Oh, no. I left after a year.
So where are you at now with your business, and where are you focusing on, who your target audience is? Who do you want to help? Like, is it mostly just trying to teach others what you know when it comes to fashion tech educator, or like just fashion tech specifically? Like where are you in your current status? Like how are things working?
Well, currently I'm trying to still pivot in order for me to reach the audience that I think I need to reach.
Because you said initially it was teachers, but now it sounds like it's not teachers anymore.
No.
Okay.
Now it's individual learners.
Now, okay, so we're back to B2C.
Yes. I have to. I know. It's crazy. Okay. But the thing for me, let me tell you, the thing I learned the most in terms of what you have to do in order to keep a business alive is that I think I waited too long with my second business to pivot, you know? Like I waited about 6 months into the pandemic before I tried to turn the ship around. And by then it was too late.
Yeah.
You know?
You didn't see the warning signs. Okay.
Yeah. So I think now I'm just kind of like, okay, is this working? Oh, it's not working. Okay, let me do this thing and see.
Wait. Wait. So, how do you know when it's not working?
When nobody responds.
But marketing takes time.
I do know that. I know. I've heard.
Okay.
But at the same time, I understand that when you have a product that people want, sure, the marketing takes time, but there's usually a response, you know? People see it, they want it, they'll get it. If it's at a price point that they can afford it, they get it. You know, there's no, let me wait and see. And, like all of that shakiness kind of disappears when you have a product that people want.
Right.
I'm not like, I think really it's developing the need and understanding who the customer really is right now. And at first I really did think it was individual students. And then I was like, okay, and I did have some success with that, my early success was individual students.
Yeah.
But it was finding more of them and trying to convince them that this will help you get to where you need to go. That's been the challenge for me at this point. So that seems to be where I want to stay, is by working with individuals, but not in the way that I was before. I do plan on doing webinars and seminars, and those seem to be the kind of things, workshops that seem to really kind of get people interested in what I'm doing. Who's not interested are the brands. I think they want somebody that's more established. They want to work with individual software companies, which to me, I'm just kind of like, okay, you're going to pay $10,000 here, $10,000 here, $10,000 for each software that you want to use in your company. I'm telling you that I can teach all of them for 15. But that's not something that, because it's not straight from the company, I think I'm not as credible to them as somebody that works directly for the company. And I'm just kind of like, okay, that person might know the software, but do they know how to teach it? Do they know how to put together a curriculum? Do they know how to really get your people to understand? And that's, in my experience with fashion companies, that's been the issue. Like, the people that work for these companies don't know the software because they're learning it from somebody that knows the software but doesn't know how to teach it.
Gotcha.
So I'm a teacher.
Time. Yeah, it takes time for sure. Yeah. So that's kind of where you're at right now. And so when you're trying to reach out, or not reaching out, I should say, or attracting the right type of customers through your door. Have you found out, since you've pivoted again, have you found out your target audience now, and are you creating content? Are you getting them to come to you?
Yes. So that's a strategy that I've been working on. I haven't really deployed it quite yet.
Okay.
But, one of the things that I think a lot of people don't realize with courses and selling that product is that there's an expiration date, especially with software, Once there's an update, you kind of have to turn things around and integrate those things, those new issues and stuff like that into the course, or those new features into the course somehow. Photoshop, when I learned it, is completely different from the Photoshop that exists today. So, and this was one of the issues that I had with teaching in the traditional sense, teaching at a college, is like, there were teachers there that had been teaching the exact same thing for the past 30 years.
Wow.
And had not updated their curriculum.
That's crazy.
I kid you not.
That's crazy. Oh my gosh. Talk about an education system being broken, right? Like, wow.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, it was so challenging for me, because I remember I went to a talk that this architecture professor was giving. And this guy rolled in, I'm sure you haven't seen them, but these projectors from 1975, where he put the gel sheets and write on it.
Oh my gosh. No way. That's insane.
I was like, this was in 2019.
Seen them in movies, but no, I've never seen it in real life. Wow. How old was this guy? This guy must have been in his 60s then, right? 60s, 70s, somewhere in there. He probably should have been retired.
Probably. Exactly.
This is how archaic our education system. Okay, so this is why everything moves so slowly. Okay, this checks out then with what you were saying earlier. All right.
Yeah.
So we're just not there. Technology is moving so fast that it's so hard for us to keep up with it. And we can really see it, especially when it comes to our education system. So and even our government for sure too. So it's crazy, huh?
But if you think about the whole tenure system in education, and that was one of the things that I was just kind of like, I know I should have wanted it. Job for life. Who doesn't want that? Stability for life. But the reality is that what you're incentivizing is not innovation. Why would I need to change anything if I know I'm going to have my job by doing the same exact thing that I did 10 years ago?
Oh, that's a horrible philosophy. Yeah, I would never adhere to that. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. How do we grow?
The entire education system, to me, needs to just shift. I don't agree with tenure. I mean, I don't know if you have professors.
I don't either. I maybe, but I don't feel like that's the right way to approach life either.
Yeah.
Right. That doesn't make me feel any more excited about living the same life every single day, like the Truman Show. Come on, that's no way to live either. So I don't know how some people they settle for that almost. And it's that settling part that I don't like, it's just, it doesn't spur innovation, doesn't spur excitement, enthusiasm. It doesn't spur experiences, right? We go back to Paris. Right?
Yeah. I mean, the teachers stop wanting to teach and the students stop wanting to learn. And I think that's the cycle the entire education system has been in for the past 30 or 40 years, as school gets more expensive, the teachers are just kind of like, you know what, I'm set for life. The students are kind of like, okay, I'm paying so much for this education, so you better give me an A, so it's just kind of like, yeah. And somebody posted yesterday something about when the student becomes a customer, that was another thing that my department told me that I was just kind of like, what? But they told me that I needed to treat my students like they were customers. And I was just kind of like, that doesn't make sense, because retention becomes the goal, not learning, like they just want to make sure that we are covered. There are enough people paying tuition, and that is all that matters, to pay for the lights, to pay for all the overhead that goes into running a college, which I understand when you're running a college like a business, but at the end of the day, it's an institution for learning, and when a student knows that they're the customer, then where do you go from there? Like, how do you teach them? How do you make sure that they know what the industry that you're teaching them for needs? You softball everything, you inflate grades, and you make sure you satisfy whoever that check is coming from, the parents, Uncle Sam, whoever it is. You make sure you graduate enough students. It's a numbers game, The education system is torn up, higher education. And I wish I could do something about it, but to me, this is the only thing that can be done. It's building platforms like this so that the industry has something else to pull from that isn't the traditional education system, because the people that the industry are getting right now are just there to meet numbers, They don't really have the knowledge that companies need in order for them to innovate and change and evolve and do interesting things.
Yeah, that's really sad. So I want to pivot a little bit and talk about your new beginnings. And so the Digital Fashion Institute, this is your baby, right? This is essentially your school, and this is how you want to develop moving forward. And so you're looking for students now to join into this institute and to give them a learning experience that they can take on and innovate and get a job in this part of the sector in fashion. So tell me more about your aspirations with this new institute that you've set up, and tell me where do you see it going in the future?
So what I'm setting up right now is a system that allows for people to not just learn the software that they need to know, but also get recruited by companies. I'm building a site that is, not just my courses, because I don't think, honestly, I can crank out enough courses to build the curriculum I need to build. So I'm working on curating sort of an entire level of courses that they can, or multiple levels of courses that they can take that I've looked at, and I know that they're probably going to need it. Put those on my website for them to access, but also bringing employers in to see what kind of work they do in order for them to apply to jobs directly through my website. So really, what I'm trying to fill right now is that gap between employability and skill building, so that the industry gets what they need, and the students that are looking for work have the training to do what they need to do to get work. So I think that's really the big gap that people are kind of missing, is that the students don't have the skills that the brands need in order for them to move the fashion industry forward. So that's what I'm trying to do. And that's what I'm hoping in the future people come to my website for. Right now, it's just a matter of building the infrastructure out in order for to be able to do all of those things. So yes, I would love to have more professional help, with the marketing, with, the web building, with all of these things. But really right now where I'm at is just the infancy stage of really figuring out who really needs this product. It's really micro targeting and finding that customer and understanding what to give them in order for them to stay, in order for them to get what they need, and connect with the community that they need to connect to in order for them to move forward in their careers. Because the thing that, I told you what my journey was in terms of finding work in the fashion industry, and what that took,
It's a struggle. Yeah. It was quite the story too. I really appreciate you sharing that, because that just, it just makes it more real. And a lot of people can probably connect with you a lot more when you show this vulnerability out to the world in such a very intentional way. Because I know, like, I've had friends, still have friends in the fashion design world, and every story I've heard, it's like almost a horror story. Like, it's been really a bad experience, but you took these experiences and you turn them into good. You can turn them into positive ones that will help you build something really incredible, like what you're building today, right? So
and honestly, I always tell my students, if you want to stay in the fashion industry, you have to love it. Like, this has to be the thing that you want to do when you wake up in the morning, because it's hard.
Everything's hard. And let's go back to learning. Learning's hard.
It is. It sure is. It's the hardest part. It's that learning process, that curve. But once you get it, and once you can do the things that are here,
becomes easier.
Recently, just to kind of relax. What was that?
I said it becomes easier once you do know it. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just like, what's that quote? It's like, I would have, it's better to try and fail than to never have tried at all. I don't know who said that, but it's so true though, I'd want to try more than just not even starting, because that's even worse. You think about it, because that's what life is made up, is trying and failing, just keep it going. Because if you love it that much, like you do, Prisca, like I see it in your eyes, you really love this industry. You want others to succeed. You want others to learn from your past experiences, but actually to be better. And I think that's the point of doing what we love. I'm doing this because I want to be better. I want to connect with people. I want to be intentional, but I really want others, when they're on this podcast, to really see themselves for who they are, and see how positive an impact that they can be with others that listen to this as well or watch it. So this is really cool, and this is great that you're sharing. So thank you.
Oh, of course. And everything that you just said was absolutely correct. I am passionate about the fashion industry, but even more so, I'm passionate about the people coming up in the industry and giving them an opportunity to do the thing that they love to do, without, going through what I had to deal with. And really it being about their talent and their skills and what they're capable of, more so than their name, and I think having that visibility online, it kind of negates all these other things that, some people have to deal with in order to get to where they want to go in life. But yeah, to me, it's when you have the skills, nobody's looking at these other little things that really don't matter. I think one of the beautiful things about social media and the internet is that, if you have the skills, you can make it happen. Whereas 20 years ago, like, I have these little projects that I do on the side, when I get sick of working on my business, I'm like, you know what, I need to do something creative. And one of the things that I've been working on is a graphic novel. And like 20 years ago, without AI, I have had this idea for a while. But, I don't know how to create a graphic novel, and I don't know anybody that can. So technology gives you an opportunity to really explore the possibilities of what you can do with art. You know, I've been having discussions with a lot of artists recently that are very anti AI and anti-technology and what's going on. And I'm just kind of like, I understand your grievances, but it's also creating opportunities for people that had ideas that they couldn't execute because they didn't have the resources to do them. You know, I've seen artwork from, you know, kids in far off places in Haiti and, you know, Cameroon and all these like random little countries. All they have is an internet connection and they can make it happen, you know? So to me, I don't know, tech is exciting. I love it. I love it. And I love that you're doing this, you know?
Yeah, of course. This is one of my loves. This is one of my passions. And so before this, it was photography, but we pivot, right? So we pivot. And I do photography still, not in the same way I used to. But it's so interesting how, I always think about, and we're winding down, just letting you know, turn it down here. But you ever think about when you're a little kid, what you always used to do? You know, like even teenager, pre-adolescent. And I was always going to the library, getting cassette tapes, putting them in, you know, listening. I love the radio so much. There were like these shows I always used to tune in. And I'm like, podcasting's kind of the same thing. You think about it. So it's like taking these loves that you always had when you're a kid and translating them and trying to, I don't know, monetize them, I guess, as an adult. Like, can I keep doing this? Like, I just want to keep listening and I want to keep learning too. And I feel like, especially with podcasts on this specific episode, we've learned so much about you, Prisca. And I'm really grateful for you. And I want you to succeed. I'm just letting you know, I'm rooting for you because I think what you have is really, really incredible. And a lot more people need to know about it. And that was one of the biggest reasons I wanted to bring you on and share just a little bit about your story. And this is just a little bit. So, but yeah, in the future, we'll have to definitely have you on again because I feel like we just hit the tip of the iceberg with you. So, but definitely, where can people find you, or is there anything else that you wanted to share before we end today? I know we kind of went a little bit longer than usual, but I was really fascinated with your story, and it was so nice that we were able to take it a little bit longer. But yeah, anything else you wanted to cover, and then where can people find you if they want to learn more about you?
Sure. Well, I will be launching a series of webinars and workshops and things like that in September. So definitely look out for that. Also, I'm focusing on portfolio reviews right now for any of the recent grads that want to know what they can do to improve their portfolios. But you can definitely find me on Instagram at the Digital Fashion Institute. It's the same on Facebook as well as LinkedIn. Definitely find me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active there. But yeah.
And that's your name, right? We find you under your name for LinkedIn?
Yeah, the Digital Fashion Institute, or my name, Prisca Milliance as well. But I do have a page for the business specifically.
Awesome.
Yeah. But other than that, yeah, I'm happy that you gave me an opportunity to talk about my story. I think it's something that not a lot of people know about, what I've been through. And I'm just happy to be able to share that. I think it might explain a lot of things to a lot of people that I haven't had a chance to up until now.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you again, Prisca. This has been a pleasure. And yeah, have an amazing, amazing Wednesday, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
See ya.